Welcome to Foraging in Appalachia. My name is Erica, this is my daughter Cecilia, and we're going to show you two powerful medicines with expert Caleb Arnold, foraging in Appalachia that could save your life. Have anything you want to say? Before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more health and homesteading and foraging content, and check out my YouTube memberships for more one-on-one support. Let's dig in. Oh no, we need medicine. This is probably my daughter's favorite wild medicinal.
Well, you taught your daughter well then, because this is the #1 herb that everyone should know, #1 plant everyone should know. It's no surprise it's hanging out here in kind of a disturbed corner where a building's been placed. It does not mind this packed gravel soil. So plantain has many uses, but first and foremost, it's an edible dark leafy green. Basically all parts of the plant are consumable. The leaves, the seed stalks themselves. And I've even heard that you could build a sort of internal insect repellency by nibbling on the top couple inches of these.
I need that.
They most certainly contain psyllium, which is the laxative in Metamucil, so a different species of Plantago is used primarily for that. But I think all could probably provide a little in a pinch. The leaf, I'll pick a leaf here, you can see the really stringy veins come all the way from the base of the plant to the tip of the plant. And so it's mucilaginous. It's even cooling on the skin. It's really great for skin irritations, skin inflammation, and most importantly, those bug bites, those yellow jackets, bee stings, ant bites, anything with formic acid especially, it tends to neutralize the venom. And so when you consume it, it tends to help the moisten and heal the lining of the gut and the mucosa. So it's really good for gut issues. It's also extremely nutrient rich, really well. So it's an incredible dark leafy green that's probably already in your lawn or waste space near you.
I've got a bunch of questions about this plant. One, there is a narrowleaf plantain, right?
Absolutely. There's probably a dozen Plantago species, a lot of them used interchangeably. Right here we have a red base, kind of the red stems at the base, so we might be looking at Plantago rugeli, the native broadleaf plantain. Then there's what we call common plantain, or also called broadleaf plantain from Europe, and there's Plantago lanceolata.
So you had mentioned using plantain for the gut. When I think of gut rejuvenation, I am not eating greens raw for the anti-nutrient.
Sure.
How do you prepare it for gut health?
So I think the important concepts to keep in mind here are that the gut is virtually an external environment. It's exposed to everything we're breathing in, the world around us, and it's important that the mucosal lining in the gut stays in a healthy condition. All these bacteria, E. coli, things that are already in our gut aren't getting into the rest of our body. And plantain and other demulcent herbs are really great at keeping that mucosa moistened, right? So this is a natural healthy state for our gut lining and all the mucosal system in our body. So plantain, violets, this is more of a tonic way of thinking about it, right? So if you have, heavy, dramatic issues, this may not be the medicine for you, but if you want to, especially if you have a dry constitution, run a little bit on the dry side of things, moistening herbs on a daily basis are going to that mucosal layer healthy. So I prefer it cooked, but cooked green as opposed to raw. It is a little bit fibrous, so normally I'm cutting it up with scissors or chopping it up real fine when I do that.
Just like cook the whole pretty prominent, and so
They're still there, so it's a turn off for some people. Chop it up finely, and it's a pretty good dark leafy green. As far as I know, the root is edible. I've not found it incredibly tasty, but I think it would be fun to experiment more with whole plant tincture or whole plant medicine. I know there's a lot more there than just the leaf.
We're out in the wild. We get stung by a wasp nest. Plantain.
Absolutely. Pick a leaf, chew it up, and we'll call it a spit poultice. We'll put it right on the insect bite, and immediate relief. I could share just numerous stories about how this has helped me and other folks that I've been with, even herbal non-believers, right? This is the herb that gets people into herbal medicine because they're like, wow, that works.
Can we do it? Can we pull this up?
Try it out.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Let's show you what it means to poultice, because honestly, before I started doing this, the whole concept of poultice, it sounded like it made sense. Like you chew it up, you smash it up, you paste it on. But I guess I was confused because it was like, well, what about your saliva? Is that bad?
Yeah, good question. I mean, and there may or may not be a great answer to that. Let's say that if there's major breakage in the skin, maybe the spit poultice is less ideal. There's plenty of bacteria and other things in our mouths, right? But if we're talking insect bites and stings, I think this is an incredibly safe way to use it.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Super juicy.
Yeah.
Super salivating.
And, you know, after this, I always get little green bits in my teeth.
I've just swallowed a bunch. I spit out the little bits. But here we are. Smush it. And it actually, when you really smush out that saliva, it kind of stays in place. It's a tester right there.
So we can call it nature's Band-Aid.
Boom.
Teach your kids, teach everyone about this one. It's very common, very prolific in disturbed areas. People, in fact, it's most of the time it's where you need it.
You know what's funny about this kind of medicine and teaching kids is that, you know, kids get bumps, bruises, stings, ant bites, whatnot. And empowering them with this kind of knowledge gets them excited. It gets them excited just like that. But it gets them excited so that it takes away some of the pain. Like they go straight to the plant. You know, they're focusing on like the remedy.
Absolutely.
And not the pain. So they get into it. What if you did have an open wound? Like we're talking battle scene and, you know, you're left to your own devices. You don't have a first aid kit.
Well, plantain still has its uses. Not only like in my garden, for instance, we'll get leaves that grow as big as my head, right? So at that point, it's a great external dressing or something, protect an area of the skin or hold something up against an area of the skin. The veins, once again, are kind of stringy and tough, so you get a little bit of tying action that you can do. You can actually get a plantain leaf tied around a finger or something. But when I think of major trauma, major first aid care, plantain is a portion of what I would use for cleaning and for helping heal those wounds. But it would often be in conjunction with other extremely antibacterial herbs, you know. So this is really soothing, this is really healing. It's got allantoin, it causes the cells to proliferate, so it speeds healing in that way. All sorts of good things, but when you really have open mass, I go to other herbs as well.
So obviously, if you have a major wound, you want to seek medical attention immediately. We're talking like worst case scenario situation. What about worst case scenario situation with a snake bite and you cannot go to a hospital immediately, which is what you should do.
So there's a lot of different lore with how the Native Americans address snake bites. And there's some modern herbal information that you can get into. A couple of folks I know that are teaching snake bite protocols. Plantain is a wonderful herb. The sooner you get it to a wound, the bigger impact it's. Would not fancy treating a snake bite with just plantain, right? I've luckily never had to treat a snake bite. Hope I never will. And if all I had was plantain, you're darn sure I would be chewing it up on the way to the hospital and smearing it all over anywhere that might be affected. You know, so, you know, it's always worth a shot. And I've definitely heard plantain in references, but there are a couple other herbs that come to mind.
Anything else you can? You were telling me a story about how you've used plantain creatively.
Yeah, many stories, but the most recent one, I was out, the gnats and the flying bugs were out particularly bad. That one hit me right in the eye, and normally not a big deal, get gnats in the eye all the time, it's part of it. But this one had quite a stinging sensation, must have been, I could just feel its venom or acid, you know, creeping over my pupil, and I was like, wow, you know, I went to some cold water and started splashing my face, but there was plantain nearby, so I scooped some up, and even though I hadn't heard it being used on the eye, I figured it's a generally very safe herb, so I chewed it up and tried it just in case, and I immediately had a cooling and calming sensation as soon as it hit my eye, and a second plantain poultice after that.
So even as an eye poultice, potentially, you could use it and get that relief. I hope you have enjoyed our foraging trip here with naturalist and foraging expert Caleb Arnold. You can find Caleb and his incredible knowledge on most of the social